Hey everyone, Steven the Salon Guy here, and I am here with Manny from the Don's Barber Shop. And Manny is an individual who really has proven himself from not only a skill perspective, but also from social media, from business. And I'm going to discuss a really important topic that all of you clients and viewers want to know about, and that is how to ask you for a haircut. What is the best way to communicate what someone's looking for? And before you answer, while you're thinking about the answer, I'm just going to share with you the feedback I'm getting from people. So we've got people who, and as a professional myself, and I tell the viewers all the time, show a photograph. Literally download the photo of whatever singer, whatever actor you want, and go, this is what I'm looking for. And a lot of times it gets really complicated because people are always saying like, well, what do I say to them? How long should it be? I'm like, it's up to the professional to be able to execute that haircut properly. You shouldn't be telling them, oh, I want it 3 inches here. I want it like, they shouldn't tell you how to cut hair. So, and I want to break this down in a few different ways, but like, in your opinion, what's the best way or easiest way for a client to tell you what they want? This is somebody who obviously you've been doing, 19 years, it's the same haircut.
Okay. So there's obviously, we have to understand that sometimes some people don't even know what they want themselves. So that can make things kind of complicated. But for me, what helps me understand fully what the customer wants, I like to ask them what they don't like about their hair, because then they can point out what they want to change.
Like a current haircut when they sit down? Like, is there something you don't like about your hair right now?
Yeah.
That kind of thing?
Yeah,
okay.
That would help. Because it's a lot easier for people to spot what they don't like. You know what I mean?
Right.
When something seems like it's in place, then they're okay. But when it comes to maybe changing a style, a picture always helps. I know people are like heavy on social media nowadays, so they get a lot of ideas off TikTok, off of Instagram. Sometimes there'll be people that get a haircut with Jordan that'll show one of her references from something she posted on Instagram, or they'll show one of Josh's haircuts, or like they show one of my haircuts. Things like that help us just get a better visual on what the customer wants, because at the end of the day, it's a style that they're looking for. Some people have curly hair, they want something to look a little more straight or less curly. There's a bunch of different ways to customize, but I agree with you when you say like the professional has to have enough knowledge and be able to tell the customer whether that's even possible to do. Because like there's certain haircuts that just are not possible. And again, that comes the responsibility of the professional. But if we're asking the customers to help us, I would just say try your best to describe what it is that you like, what you're looking for, what's your end goal, what you don't like, what are things that you feel are complicated about your hair. Those are also things that we have to kind of examine in the consultation, but it makes it a little bit easier when, let's say, someone tells us about like a skin condition. That's obviously something that we need to know. Or maybe about a cowlick that they've struggled with multiple different barbers for a bunch of different years, that it's like at the front of their head and, they want a sharp lineup. So there's ways to customize and be able to accommodate the customer, but it always helps when they point out the things that make it a little bit difficult to achieve what they want. But there's always ways to work.
Right. And another thing I've always changed someone myself, because I'm now retired from clients, is, I had my own kind of consultation. My approach was, I'd have somebody sit down in the chair and I would take control right away. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and this is the old school way, even with hairdressers and hairstylists, is, I'm going to give you like 5 magazines. That's how old school I am. I'm going to give you a bunch of magazines. Look through it. What do you want? Then the hairdresser goes and disappears for 25 minutes and then comes back. It's like, and then like they don't even know. They may like something in a magazine, and you're then putting it on them. I feel it's important to take control, because I would say I'm going to analyze your hair and I'm going to take a look and see, especially if it's a new client.
Of course.
The same client you're doing for a while, has everything. It's always important. But if it's someone new, I'm going to take a look at your hair. I'm going to analyze it and kind of see and while I'm analyzing their hair, I'm looking for and dissecting what they currently have, because I can spot a bad haircut literally instantly. So while I'm dissecting it, I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. So based off of this, I'm going to give you my suggestion, and literally everything is in my hands, so that at that point when they're ready, they're just like, oh my God, like, yes.
They're just agreeing to your suggestions.
But I'm also confident in it. Yeah. I'm confident in my work. I know what I'm talking about. So for now, let's do the flip side. For the people who aren't really like I've gotten people say, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't really like to talk. What's the best way for someone like that? Is it literally a photograph and that's it?
I think that would help. The photograph always helps.
Okay.
But I think what would help in a situation like that, it would come more of a responsibility from the professional. Because some people maybe aren't confident to talk. Maybe they don't know how to ask for things. Maybe they've been through an experience before where if they were a little too specific or a little too detailed, the barber got upset. I think as a professional, you have to be able to recognize someone's confidence and how they carry themselves to be able to accommodate to them the best. I have customers that come in with their head down and walk away with their head up because they feel like I listen to them. Because that's another important aspect. They might be asking for something that's not too rational, but try to work with them, and that helps them. And it becomes a little bit easier once you build that sort of confidence with them, because then they have enough confidence again to tell you, I don't like this. I want it more like this. So I try to ask questions such as that, like, okay, like if I do it this way, how do you feel about that? I don't know, Manny, it makes my head look like this. A lot of times people base their hairstyles to cover a lot of like flaws. So like if people have like a big forehead,
Right.
you notice they like the fringe, like they like it very long here.
Right, or receding in the corners,
100%.
cover the corners up and all that, yeah.
I have a few customers actually that have alopecia.
Okay.
I have one who has a very, very like evident spot here. So what I do is I do kind of like a burst, and I trim this with the scissors kind of short, but I fade it and I layer it so that it's like slightly longer and it's able to cover the hole. And when I shape it up, it looks like it's full. If you grab a comb and you comb it up,
you're exposing.
There's a hole like this big.
Right, right.
But at least for the time being, he has the confidence of knowing like, okay, like he can cover this.
Right.
And you run into customers with that problem a lot.
And yeah, I same thing, and I've done that with even guys that have bald spots in the back. I can literally take someone who's got a bald spot, I'm like, give me like a month, and I'll have it fully covered.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to the skill. You know what I mean? It really depends on the situation. So I think, have you ever had the client who, like a new client who comes in, and you're like, hey, how you doing? You know, what can we do? Like, what can I do for you today? Or that's always a pretty big lead-in question. Like, what are we doing today? That's the common one you probably hear all day long. You maybe even do it yourself. Like, what are we doing today? It's fine, because it's how you open it. And sometimes it's like an icebreaker. But have you had that client who, how about this, a difficult client? Have you ever had a difficult client who's new with you? They sit down and you're just like going back and forth, and you're like, listen, man, it's like 15 minutes into our appointment, we're still not even like seeing eye to eye yet. Does that happen often, or have you seen it happen?
It's happened to me before, definitely when I was starting, because I didn't have the knowledge, and it wasn't as diverse as it is now. Whereas like I've had experience now with curly hair, straight hair, long, short. So definitely when I didn't know, it made it difficult because I didn't know what kind of questions to ask. You know, and that all comes with experience. I think a lot of barbers get kind of discouraged when they run into a customer that's kind of tough, but everybody kind of just has to understand each other. The customer sometimes has no idea what they actually want. Like they have an idea of what they think they want, but is it possible? Like, is your hair texture proper for it? Like, do you have is it long enough? Is
Right.
it
Is it straight, wavy? Is it like,
Exactly.
the right texture? They may want something, and you're like, and that's another thing that I've come across, and I'm sure you've seen this before when you're working with a bunch of people. You're listening to what's happening, and you may be thinking to yourself, oh my God, that he's gonna actually try to do that haircut on this person.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh my God, you start saying your prayers and going, whew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That happens often.
I have a customer who shaves all of this and just leaves hair long on top, and he combs it back. And the guys look at me like, why is he cutting his hair? And I tell them, this is what he likes. I fade it into the beard. The beard is nice and shaped up. He walks away happy as ever. Whatever. He doesn't care what anybody thinks, but he's like, all right, I could ask Manny for whatever. He'll pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, even from like the consultation perspective though, not even from the work itself, but I mean, like when someone's trying to, and this is another thing, if you know, listening to what we're saying, being that we're both professionals, it can easily go down that rabbit hole of talking like we're professionals. But I also have a mix of, clients and customers and people as well as professionals. So I think another big topic and a lot of thing is, they'll watch my videos, right? And people say, Salon Guy, like my hair's not doing this right, it's not doing that right. And they kind of explain, or I'll do a video conference call with them. And I'm like, your hair it's because of the haircut. It's not your hair texture. It's not this, the actual haircut itself. And then they say, well, what do I do? And now I say to them, this is what I say. Just like if you go to a restaurant and you don't like the food, what do? Do you go back again? You don't go back again.
Probably
Or
not.
you say, hey, let me talk to the manager, to the chef. What do you think clients should do if, even say they get a cut and there's something I say that, hey, Manny, you know what? You did a nice job, but this one side, they'll reach out to you. Can you fix it? What should clients do when they maybe get a bad haircut or they're not happy? Do you tell them, hey, look, it's totally fine to jump ship? Or should they reach out to the person? Like, what's your take on that?
I think it depends on the customer and depends on how dissatisfied they are. Like if they think it's a point of no return, then pay your due. The barber did his job to the best of his ability, hopefully, And if you're not satisfied, you're not satisfied. Maybe do a little more research, look like on Instagram, look on TikTok, see if you can find someone who actually looks like they know what they're doing or looks like they can achieve the style that you like most. But I would say if you believe that the barber actually is trying to give you exactly what you want, he just might be struggling. Just tell him, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. If it's a good barber, he will try everything in his power to satisfy you. If it's a barber who is just doing it for the money, it'll be an argument or it'll be something that'll annoy them. But if it's a good barber, they will definitely try. They will try. And I think once you give them a chance, and let's say they didn't hit the nail on the head, but they did some of the things that you like, okay, like now you see that there's something that you can work with. If you're willing to work with that, I would say stick with one barber because it helps the barber learn your style. Because there's a style that's specific and unique to everybody, that some things work for you that will never work for me. And some things work for me that will never work for you. So building that with the barber and the customer helps definitely to achieve the style that you want. But if you're dissatisfied, like there's so many stylists and there's people who unfortunately just don't have the knowledge or don't have the proper customer service. And that's completely fine. Like everybody has different standards for how they like their service to be done and how they like to do their service. So I think it's just finding the proper person for you,
And then lastly, this is really, really great, and I hope you all are finding this very, very, very valuable. The last big thing is, how does someone, or what advice can you give to someone to find a new barber or a new person, a new hair professional? I have my methods, real quick on my methods, especially this particular barbershop has like a gazillion reviews on, it's almost like 5-star reviews. I even said to Chris, Chris, the owner, I said, have you seen this? Like, you have so many 5-star reviews.
Thank God.
And I tell people, go on Google Maps, type in hair salon, barbershop, look at the reviews. If you keep seeing a name of an individual, a professional there, maybe that's the person for you. But what advice can you give for someone looking to find a new person?
Okay, so obviously I'm trying to gear this message to a variety of people because I know there's a lot of people who aren't on social media and who aren't on, just TikTok and Instagram.
Right.
That's the easy answer. I'll leave that for later. I would say, like you were saying, everybody uses Google. All the good businesses have good reviews on Google. So you can't remove a bad review. So we try very hard to satisfy the customers to the best of our ability so that we don't have any bad reviews. Exactly what you said. And you do it with anywhere that you go. Like if you go to a restaurant and you keep seeing like, okay, get the baked ziti, get the baked ziti, get the baked ziti, you're gonna think, okay, I'm gonna try this baked ziti.
Right.
So it's the same thing with barbers. Like if you see the name consistently coming up in the reviews, try them out. When it comes to, you have to pay attention to the barbershop as well. Like what kind of styles they focus on. Like I know in the beginning we were doing like the face shave. That was our thing. That's what we focused on. So we're getting a lot of face shave. Now we're focusing a little bit more on like precise scissor cutting. So now that's the kind of customers that we're attracting. So as a customer, look for the barbershops that put out that kind of content and put out that kind of information because that means that's what's available here.
Right.
And then to address, those who are able to be on their phone and, all over Instagram and all over TikTok, just search like a style. You could also go on Pinterest, look at styles. I would say try to look for styles that are close to or exactly like your hair texture and the things that fit your head. Look at your head shape, look at the hair density, look at whether you want it curly, whether you want it straight. Like sometimes people have straight hair and want it curly. We could always do a perm, but make sure you know what you want. And that barber should be doing everything to promote themselves and put out, what it is that they do. And if you feel like first and foremost they fit the same style, you can communicate well with them, that would be your guy. That would be your stylist also, because there's more aspects to the service aside from the actual service,
Right.
that add into that relationship with your customer. There's customers that I can't really speak too much, and they get a very basic haircut, and that's just, I do it to the best of my abilities, but when it comes to like customizing something, is usually the customers that I have a longer relationship, because they're more open to speaking to me about what they like, what they don't like. And then when they go somewhere else, it's not that the other barber isn't good or the other barbershop isn't good. It's just that reputation, that style, it's molded. Like, it's a relationship that it's a continuous agreement every single time you come.
Yeah. So really also it's not an easy process. It can be, but I think what happens a lot, especially with feedback from my viewers and stuff, is they'll say like, I can see the writing on the wall, right? They'll explain to me like, oh, I wanted this and I got this, it was awful. I'm like, well, let's break this down. Did you just randomly walk into some random barbershop?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, dude, if you want to look like Brad Pitt, you can't just like walk into any random barbershop and you have a line of 18 people waiting and some random barber is sitting there and you're next and he does your hair in 15 minutes and hacks it.
Everybody specializes in something different.
But it's also that, but you have to do your research.
That too.
You can't, I mean, it's almost more important than that, because like you said, like, I'm not going to go to some random restaurant until I look it up.
That's like going to a pizzeria and asking for sushi. Like, they're not going to, they might have it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be good.
And nowadays, as you know, on social media, everyone, I mean, look at the pizza reviews. Look, everything is being reviewed. There's videos on, I went to the worst barbershop, just for a video. So I think nowadays, it's really important to do your research, do your homework. And, if you're in the Jersey area, technically this is what, Middlesex?
Middlesex.
Yeah, so the Don's Barbershop in Middlesex, I've filmed with them before. He's really talented, Manny, and the whole team here. I mean, there's some really talented people in this place, man.
We're trying to show everybody what these guys could do. There's a lot of young guys here too. We just love cutting hair. Yeah. Like, we're here with Chris. I've worked with Chris for like 9 years. There's been a couple Christmases where we stayed till 10 p.m., 11 p.m., coming in at 8 a.m., but it's just, we've loved the culture that we've built. A lot of people love the vibe here. It's not that we even do anything so extraordinary, but it's that we care a lot about the place. And we care a lot, like, we just had a meeting last night. Like, what other shops have meetings? I haven't really heard of them. And we do them at the first week of every month. The first Tuesday of every month, we have a meeting to check on is there anything that any of us are upset with? Like, is there anything that has been reoccurring with the customers that might be an issue? Yeah. Is there something in terms of cleanliness that we need to adhere to in terms of us as barbers individually contributing to the entire barbershop? So there's more than just there's way more than just sitting behind the chair. That Chris focuses on a lot, and I'm very appreciative of him for that. And then we all follow that lead. Like, there has to be a system that everybody's on board with to move forward properly. If not, there's always one laying behind or one working in the other direction. Like, you need some sort of unity to move forward with something and have it be successful. Yeah.
And then, and this really starts to fall into the professional realm of it, and that's why you're successful. I see you're building yourself as a brand in a sense. He's building up the clientele. This is the kind of place that you really should be going to. And I really appreciate your time. Gotcha, really, always a great job, and you're doing a great thing for the barbering community. And if you're a professional watching this, let me know in the comments below if you found this helpful as a consumer, just one of my viewers and subscribers. Let me know in the comments below. Do you want to see more content like this? So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.